Guys, I am so excited because starting today, we are officially 18 weeks away from the 2026 Boston Marathon, which means Christmas came early and we can start marathon training again. I'm so excited. So if you're also running the Boston Marathon or really any other spring marathon and you're looking for some guidance, inspiration, motivation, and just wondering how you should approach your training plan, don't worry, you've landed on the right video. Today, I'm going to break down exactly how I approach my marathon training. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Juliana, and I am a sub 3-hour marathoner that started this YouTube channel to showcase how I balance everything in my life from marathon training, growing my startup, and working a full-time corporate job. So if you are interested in following along with my journey, make sure to hit that bell button down below and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your support and it keeps me motivated so that I can keep making awesome content for you guys. So without further ado, let's hop into the topic of today's video, which is breaking down exactly how I approach training. So the very first thing that I do in terms of how I approach my training is that I like to set goals for my training cycle. So as runners, we tend to be extremely goal-oriented and metrics-motivated people. And oftentimes we will start off a training cycle with a specific goal time or race time in mind that we want to hit. So I would highly advise to not do that, especially if you are training for a race like Boston, where there are so many things that are unpredictable about the race, from the weather to how your body can handle the course to the excitement of race weekend. There's just a lot going on, and having a time goal where you feel like you're so tied to that specific outcome for a race like Boston, or really any race, is personally not how I like to approach things. I like to instead have kind of a general idea of what I could achieve and what paces I should be achieving, but I really don't tie myself to that goal, and my self-worth is not dependent upon whether or not I hit that time goal. So for example, for the Chicago Marathon, I had my goal of running a 2:55 marathon, which I actually ended up running exactly 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 21 seconds. But I had this whole YouTube series dedicated to how I would approach getting that goal. And I knew that 2:55 would kind of not really be that much of a stretch for me, just based on my past performances and what I knew my body was capable of. However, if I hadn't hit the 2:55, I wouldn't have been upset because I just loved the training so much that it wouldn't really have mattered. So I would say what I like to do instead is to focus not on what my outcome for the race is going to be, but what I want to improve in the current training cycle. So I like to approach this in two different ways. So basically, you can improve things that are directly related to your running, and you can improve things that are indirectly related to your running, but will ultimately affect your performance. So what do I mean by this? In terms of things that could directly impact your running and how you can set goals for a training cycle in terms of this direct impact, you could focus on things like trying to get to higher mileage, adding in strides 2 times a week, trying a different training plan, incorporating strength training. There are a lot of different things that you could do that would directly impact your running, but I would pick one of those. And there's actually a good podcast from Rogue Running. I'm going to see if I could find it, where the host talks about a bunch of different factors that you could play with in terms of a training cycle, but to never really do more than one of those at one time. And there's also the other thing that if you have had success with your past training cycles and everything has been going well, you haven't been getting injured and you're all good, there's no reason to go and change things in terms of direct impacts to your running performance. And then in terms of things that could indirectly impact your running performance, these would be things like lifestyle changes that can really make a difference on how you perform and your energy levels throughout the day and during your runs. So these could be things like making an effort to get 8 hours of sleep most nights, eating home-cooked meals or eating healthy meals 6 out of 7 days of the week, limiting alcohol if you want to start reducing your alcohol intake, trying to find time to relax outside of your runs. And I actually have an entire video where I talk about a 30-day challenge that I am currently taking on right now, this very month, where I am trying to dedicate 30 minutes per day to myself to focus on something creative, because I like to create things outside of running. So if you're interested in joining me in this challenge, check out the video linked above so you can learn more about that. All these things will indirectly impact your running, right? If you are relaxed outside of your runs, if you are getting more sleep, a lot of things can be better for you in your life in general, but especially in your runs. So when I think about setting intentions for my marathons, I really am talking about intentions for my training cycle. For example, for this training cycle, I honestly probably will not change a lot of aspects of my training because I've been getting faster these past few years and I haven't been getting injured, knock on wood. So that's all good news all around. What I will start doing is, since I ran a 2:55 marathon in Chicago, and you can check out my race day vlog if you're interested in learning the whole story behind that. But basically, I wasn't really feeling my best. And I think that 2:55 was kind of a soft 2:55. So I might want to try to start pushing my paces down closer to maybe like 6:30, 6:35 range and see how I do there. And then for Boston, it really just depends on the day and how I feel. But I think I could run around 2:55 again. But again, there are so many different factors on race day. And I know that if I dedicate myself to the training, to hitting these paces, if I can, and just being consistent like I have been for the past several years that I've been running now and marathoning, I will continue to improve. So that's how I like to approach my training. And I think that that is a much better philosophy than trying to tie your running self-worth on a time-based outcome on a specific given day with many factors that you often cannot control, like weather. And then the indirect aspect that I really want to improve in this training cycle is my sleep. My sleep is terrible. I really need to work on it. I usually don't get more than 6 hours of sleep a night. It's really bad. I don't know how I function. And I think a lot of my problems would go away if I got more sleep. So that is what I want to focus on. If you also want to focus on sleep, comment down below, and just comment down below what you want to focus on that's directly related to running and what's indirectly related to running, because I would love to hear what all of y'all's different goals are. So comment down below. Okay, so after I've set my intentions for the training cycle and I know kind of the direction that I want to head in, I will then start to formulate my training plan and the things that I want to improve upon from my last cycle. So I typically keep my training plan fairly similar from cycle to cycle, and I will be posting a whole video where I go over exactly how I approach this. So make sure to subscribe to the channel down below if you're interested in seeing an example of me going through how I would structure a few weeks in my training. That video will be coming out soon. But for now, I'm going to share exactly what I personally do and how I approach my training, and just a little brief history of how I got here. I started running 17 or 18 years ago when I was 13 and in middle school. I started marathoning only 6 years ago. My first 3.5 years-ish of marathoning, I used a couple different coaches, and they were awesome. I learned a lot from them, but I just wanted to kind of explore training on my own and kind of see where that would take me. So for the past, I would say 2.5 or so years, I have been coaching myself. And what I do is a combination of the Daniels 2Q plan and the Pfitzinger advanced marathoning plan. And basically, he has different peak mileage weeks, and I do a combination of the 1885 or the 18100 plan because my mileage tends to fall somewhere between those two plans. But why I combine the two is that I have done the Pfitzinger advanced marathoning plan separately before I started using a coach, and I just felt that it didn't do enough speed at the beginning of the training cycle, whereas the Daniels plan has all different kinds of speeds sprinkled throughout the training cycle, whereas Fitz kind of stacks it all at the end. And speed is my weakness, and I just feel like I kind of need a little bit more of that. So that's why I do a combination of the two. And then I also think that Fitz is really good if you are looking to build more consistent mileage, and your fitness will improve just by nature of running more miles. But I'm kind of already there. That being said, I significantly adjust the Daniels plan because it's just really, really hard. But the other thing that I also like about Fitz is that it shows you how to structure your mileage, and it kind of has like all of the days planned out. So it's a nice little blueprint so I can see, okay, he is stacking a workout and then a medium long run the next day, or this is how I would stack a bunch of doubles together. So I've kind of played around with it for the past few training cycles, and I've done some sort of combination of the two. And then for Daniels, the workouts are just insanely difficult, but I like the structure of them because it does add in multiple different types of speed workouts. It's not just lactate threshold or marathon paced runs. It's intervals, repetition, threshold runs. Everything is kind of all together. And the other thing I will say about Daniels and the need for significant adjustment is that there are 2 long runs really per week. So I also just cut down one of those runs. In terms of how I approach my training, I do plan out my runs 1 to 2 weeks at a time. So I'll kind of look in the Daniels book for some inspiration to see what my workout would be. And then I'll look in the Fitz plan and I'll see how he structures the week. And then I'll kind of just backfill the Daniels plan into what Fitz has scheduled. And so I'll do some sort of combination of that. And I will also adjust day by day, just depending on how I'm feeling, what I have going on in my life. There's a bunch of different factors. And I think knowing when to pull back a little bit is really important as a runner too. Also for Boston training specifically, I do have a video where I talk about all these different workouts that I like to do throughout my training cycle. So make sure to check out the video above if you're interested in learning more about that, especially if you live somewhere flat, because I live in Florida and there are no hills. So this video goes over exactly how you could train for a hilly race if you don't have access to hills. So for Boston specifically, what I'll do is I'll take some of the workouts that I talk about in that video linked above, and I'll plug them into one of the workout days that are in the Daniels or the Fitz plan. And I'm also going to do a whole video where I walk through live examples of how I would actually structure these plans so you can see what it looks like live and how I might adjust. But if you are interested in seeing exactly what my training plan is, I did write a blog post that goes over what my training plan looks like at different phases throughout the marathon cycle. It talks a little bit more about this whole thing and specifically how I combine Fitz and Daniels and kind of like the pros and cons of each, and then what my workouts are specifically in the beginning of the cycle, the middle of the cycle, when I'm peaking, and then when I'm tapering. For strength training, also, I did want to quickly mention, because that is a key component of my training, I add in my strength training usually on a speed workout day or the day after, and then on my long run day. And I just try to do it so I have at least 1 to 2 days to recover after the strength training session for my next workout. And if you are interested in seeing real examples of how I would structure my weekly training plan, make sure to hit that bell button down below and subscribe to the channel, because there will be a video coming out in the next few weeks where I walk through exactly how I do this based on my training. And then you can also check out that blog post in the description down below if you're interested in seeing some more examples. So thank you so much for being here and for supporting the channel. And for now, you can check out this video for some more tips, and I'll see you guys in the next one.